then you're kind of cheating. All right. So in Java, there are many built-in abstract data types out there. There are, for example, the list, the set, and the map. And there's others, but these are probably the three most important abstract data types that are in the Java util library. So in the sense, what do they do? Like a list keeps track of a list of things, just like we built in class. A set, something like you've seen in other languages maybe. And a map is like a Python dictionary. And so the Python dictionary might let you, for example, a map will let you do something like, say, JHug's grade is 88.4. So it lets you associate values with keys, as they say. And so maps are also known as associative arrays, or associative lists, or symbol tables, or dictionaries, or other things. Okay? So let's try using these in a moment. But before we do, I will mention that in the inheritance hierarchy, what Java's interfaces do for you, this collection is like a very, very vague abstract data type. It only does a very small number of things. Then there's the list and the set and the map, which are more specific. So a list is a collection. So a collection, for example, has a contains method, where you can see if it's in the collection. But lists have the ability for you to get particular items. A collection isn't necessarily ordered. A collection does not have a get me item 5, but lists do. Now, in the list abstract data type, there are two most popular implementations built in, which are the linked list and the array list. For sets, there's the hash set and the tree set. For map, there's the hash map and the tree map. And there are more than what I'm showing here, both abstract data types and implementations, but these are the 6 most popular implementations and the 3 most popular abstract data types. So let's try using them. So let's say we have the text of a book or a story or something, and we want to do some things. First, maybe we want to create a list of all the words in the book. Second, maybe count the number of unique words. And third, keep track of the number of times certain words we care about are mentioned. So let's see how that would look in Java. And this is the kind of task you probably did at some point in another language, especially if you took 61A. These are the kind of things you do pretty early on in the class. And we'll see that it's messier in Java. So this code here, this is going to demo all the basic collections. I've imported them here, and I'll show you what it means to not import them later. But you actually don't need to do these imports for the code to work, and we'll see that in a bit. But for now, we're going to have them. So when I do this, I'm starting with one free method that takes a string and removes everything that's not that's not letters, and that'll be nice for us for getting the words. And we are going to basically, I've given myself a file, Lottery of Babylon. That's confusing. I guess I misnamed the file. Well, that's okay. It's a Borges story, actually called The Lottery of Babylon, but I've mixed it with another story. And so what I want to do here is get the words from this file. Okay? And I didn't actually check to make sure that it loads beforehand, so let's see what happens. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is this getWords method here. Our ultimate goal is to return a list of strings. And so what we're going to do, what a typical way that a Java program might look, a real one, might be something like this. List of string words equals new, let's say array list of string. Okay? This says I want to make I want to have an abstract list. I want a list, whatever. I don't really care what kind of list. Oh, well, I have to pick some kind of a list, so I'm going to say array list. I cannot do this. If I try to say new list, it says no. You cannot make a list. That's not a real thing. So I have to pick an implementation when I'm writing my program, and at that point now I can start using this thing. Now I could do something a little bit like what we saw in Project 0, where we say while, actually first I'm going to make an in. So this is just something we did in Project 0. I'm not going to go over it again, but I'll say in equals new. Let's say in input file name, and in this case I need to import in, I guess. Do I? Why do I need to import in? Did I not import libraries? Maybe that's the issue. One sec. Okay, you guys have all done this a few times. Project structure, okay. Libraries, let's add some libraries. It's very fun. Okay. People are yawning. I know it's not super fun, but one person yawned. It's okay, I don't mind. Importing. Okay, woo, we got library. Okay, so now we have created an in, and now we'll say as long as in is not empty, we are going to get the next string, and then I'm going to make it nice. So if it had like a dash in it or was uppercase or something, this will fix it for me. So I'm going to say next word, maybe, equals clean string. And then let's just print out next word, and I like to do this when I program sometimes, just to make sure things are working the way I want. So I'm not done, of course, but this will at least get the program running, and it will spit out all the words ideally. Probably I don't have my environment set up right, so let's see if it breaks or not. Okay. Oh, it worked. Okay, good. So there's all the words of our story. Like all the men of Babylon, I have been proconsul. Like all, I have been a slave. I have known omnipotence, ignominy, imprisonment. Look here, my right hand has no index finger. Look here, this gash in my cape, you can see on my... it's pretty good. Anyway, it's a great story. Who's read it? Borges fans. Who's read Borges short stories? Oh, yeah, we got one. Know any more Borges fans? Okay, you guys are missing out. I know you've been busy with your lives, like preparing yourself to get into Berkeley and now doing technical things, but it's worth it. Anyway, he's like one of the greatest authors. His stories are like 5 pages long, and they're so dense and amazing, right? I don't know. I mean, do you like him? Oh, you read it for a class here? Yeah, it's real good. Anyway, after the semester's over, jump in. This is one of the better ones. Okay, so at this point, we now are collecting all the words. So for every word, we set it aside in a next word variable, and now we simply say words.add next word, and then we're going to return words. Okay. So in that case, this should collect all the words in the story, makes a list for us, and that list can get arbitrarily large. Unlike an array, if we were using an array, it'd be a little messier. Okay. Any questions about this method? And again, if you took Java in high school, you pretty much know the story pretty well. So let's print this out and make sure that it works. So we run our program again, and we print out W. We get this nice string representation. So that's a nice thing about lists. Apparently, when you print them, they show up as a comma-separated list with punctuation. Hooray. Good job, Java. Okay, next. Let's see how we can use sets to count the number of words in a file. So in count unique words, we're given a list of words, the one we just built, and now we want to know how many different words there are. So in this case, how can I use a set to do that? Who knows this trick? Yeah. Yes. So sets only have unique words, so what can we do? Someone who doesn't know the trick already before class? Any ideas? No? Am I losing you? So if you have a set, and the set can only have one copy of a thing, you can just put all the stuff in the set, and then see how many things are in the set. So for example, if I add dog, 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 cat, dog, 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 cat, cat, dog, pig, that thing will be size 3, because you can only have one copy of a thing. So we'll create a set of strings. Okay, set of strings, we'll call this thing word set. And then we'll say new, we can't say new set, so I need something, okay, we'll go with hash set, whatever. That works. And so now I have a set of words, and then I'll say, I'll be lazy, we'll go do a better syntax in a moment, but I'll say for int I equals 0, let's make this a little smaller, I is less than words.size, I plus equals 1. I don't do I++, by the way, because I think that syntax that looks like this I don't like it, and so it just discourages you from using plus plus in that way. That's just my own personal philosophy. I feel like code should do one thing at a time, and things that like check something and change something at the same time, I don't know, makes me anxious personally. But anyway, so we're going to take each of these words, and then we're going to say ith word equals, how do we get the ith word of our words? What do you think? Get. Good. They named it just like we did for our deck interface. That was a good idea on my part. All right. So then we've got the ith word, and then we'll toss it in our set. And then finally we'll return word set.size. And so now we'll get the number of unique words in this story. Okay. Let's do it. All right. Borges did 964 different words in the story. Good job, Borges. Now this syntax here is a little unwieldy. And around, I think it's probably the year, 2000 or 2001, when Java had been out a while, it was noted that this syntax is kind of pointless. It's just silly to do over and over. Like, it's ugly. Having indices that explicitly, you generate an I and you have to iterate over it and you got to get the ith thing. It's not so great. So the usual thing that people do is instead use what's known as an enhanced for loop, which looks something like this. So I'm just going to write it out, and then I'll ask who's seen it. And if it's something that you have not seen, I'll explain a little more. But this actually would just do ith word, just to make it perfectly parallel. So we say for every word in the words list, we add that word. So it basically, we don't need to explicitly get the ith item or have an index. And in this case, it just basically you can think of ith word gets reincarnated over and over and over as each word in the list. Who's seen this type of loop? Or sorry, who's not seen this kind of loop? Okay, what class did you guys take? E7 or something else? Or did you guys do this in 61A? No. Okay, got it. Or maybe you did. There's some dissent. Was it in 61A? Oh, for string in. Ah, yeah, okay, got it. So in Python, it looks like for string s in or something like that? Or no, there's not types. For s in words. Okay. That you've seen, probably. Yeah? Oh, could we have just done this? Why didn't I just do that? Anybody want to guess why I didn't do that? Remember, I'm teaching. Yeah? Oh, yeah? This not so much it makes me feel uneasy. It's just that, say you're a student in a class, and you're like kind of on Facebook, and you're kind of not. Or like you think about something else for a moment. By doing this, everything has a name, right? So it's just basically a mnemonic trick. It can be useful in real programming, so it uses a little bit of memory, but it also makes your code more clear, arguably. I think this is a little silly, but yeah, it's more just in teaching. But I do actually do this in code sometimes, where I'll set something aside in a variable with a name, because a name thing's easy to read. So that's the only reason. Yeah, good question. Okay, so we'll get rid of this now. And basically, for those of you who came from Python, who have seen something like this, it'd be like for ith word in words. Okay, who has not seen this? All right, good. Okay, so you know the basic idea. And if you were too shy, well, too bad, I guess. Then. Okay, so there we go. So let's make sure our code still runs. 964, good.